Hello, and we're live. I'm making this video about decimals. This is the second video. So if you want an introduction to decimals, then you can go ahead to the first video. I will post that one below. So I just wanted to share with you a little bit about decimals a little further, and we can make fractions into decimals. And we talked about before in the other video how you can make a fraction like 1/2, and you can always turn that into a decimal by dividing the bottom number into the top. So we would do 2 into 1, and then we would say 2 into 10 would be 5. And so my answer is 0.5 for that one. There are some decimals that are repeating. For example, 1/3. If we divide 3 into 1, we get 0.3 repeating. Okay, so we say 0.3 repeating, and we put the line over it like that. Okay, so that is how to turn a decimal or a fraction into a decimal. Now, if I have a number like 4/9, and my question is turn that into a decimal, I go 9 into 4, and I divide, I get 3, no, that would be 4, sorry, 36, and I would subtract, I get 4, and you can see that this is going to keep repeating. So sometimes it's a repeating decimal, so we might round it off to 0.4. And if you wanted to show that it's a repeating decimal, you could go like that, 0.4 repeating, or you could put it over both like that. Sometimes you have a repeating decimal that is one number. It could be two numbers like 161616, or it could be 1 or 0.497 repeating. And the book that I'm working on right now asks how to change 0.7 into a fraction. So there is a way that I can show you mathematically, but you can, if you have a 0.7, you can just put 7 over 9 and just leave it at that. Okay. If I have 0.81 repeating, this is 2 digits. So I'm going to say that's 81 over 99. And it's kind of like an approximate answer. It's not exact because it's a repeating decimal, so you can't ever really get an exact answer. So if there are 3 digits, you would do, for example, if I had 497, I would just say it's 497 over 999. So you put the amount of numbers there are in the digits of the number. So that's an easy way just to tell you without getting into the specifics that might be confusing for some math students. If you love math and you want to continue into why that works, you can check into that. But that's not going to be on this video. I'm going to share a little bit about adding and subtracting decimals. Okay, so if I had 3.4 plus 0.76, the rule for adding and subtracting is to line up the decimals. No matter how many digits there are, the decimals line up. 0.76. Okay, so you can see that I don't have a 0 here. Now, in some books, they'll say you can annex a 0. Okay, so annex a 0, which just means put a 0 in the empty place. Now, when I was in school, we just left the place empty. But, you can kind of do it either way that you want. When you're adding, you can put in a 0 just to know that that's the row that you're going to add right there, or you could leave it empty. It means the same thing. So 6, 11, 4, and then you want to make sure that you put the decimal in there. Okay, so line up the decimals. If you have, no matter how many digits you have, you want to line up the decimals. Now, when you're subtracting, it's the same thing. You line up the decimals. So if I have 7.007 minus 0.62, I still line up the decimals. That's the most important thing, not the digits. So, and then I can annex a 0 right here. And now I'm subtracting. 7 minus 0 is 7. Now I have to borrow. And 10 minus 2 is 8. 9 minus 6 is 3. And that's my answer. Okay, so line up the decimals even when you're subtracting. Now, when you're subtracting, there could be a little issue if you, for example, if I had 611 minus 2.19. First of all, if the number doesn't have a decimal, the decimal is right after the number. So when I write this out vertically, whoops, sorry, 611 point, the decimal is right there. Understood, the decimal is always after a whole number, minus 2.19. I cannot just bring the 19 down. I have to annex. Now this one is this is not a choice. When you're subtracting, it's not a choice. If there are no zeros up here, you have to put them up there, and then you're going to subtract. So 0, 9, 10 minus 9 is 1, 9 minus 1 is 8, 0 minus 2. Okay, I have to borrow. 10 minus 2 is 8. Now I can say 0 minus 0 is 0. 6 minus 0 is 6. If the empty spots are down on the bottom, it's okay. But if they're up here, you have to make zeros, and then you have to treat it like, a bigger number that you need to borrow. Okay, so that's how we do subtraction, and that one can be, sometimes students, if these zeros are not here, they want to just bring down the 19, but you can't do that. You have to subtract from something. Okay, and now I'm just going to quick tell you how to multiply by decimals. If you are multiplying decimals, if we had 0.921 times 0.5, so what you're going to do is just multiply that as if there are no decimals. So 5 times 1 is 5, 5 times 2 is 10, 5 times 9 is 45, plus 1 is 46. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to count how many places there are decimals. So I start at the what? What side is that? That's my right-hand side. 1, 2, 3. So there's 3 decimal places. So I start here and I go 1, 2, 3. So my answer is 4.605. Okay, so multiplication, you just do it as normal and then count the decimal places. The rule for, there are a few different special things about division, and I will make another video about that. But first of all, I want to tell you, if I had 0.5 into 125, I have to multiply by a power of 10 until I have a whole number. So here I multiply by 10, and then I put a decimal here, multiply by 10. So my decimal point is going to be here in the quotient. Okay, so 5 goes into 12 twice. 5 goes into 25 5 times. 5 goes into 0 0 times. So my answer is 250. So this number here has to be a whole number. And whatever you do to this one, you have to do to the dividend. This is the dividend. This is the divisor. This is the dividend, and this is the quotient. Okay, so the divisor has to be a whole number. Okay, the quotient. Now, this concept here is taught to younger kids, probably like 3rd or 4th grade. We introduce it, and then we continue to kind of reinforce that throughout the younger grades, usually up to about 8th grade, or just general math concepts. If you're studying general math concepts, this is started when kids are younger, but they practice it and review it through the years. It's kind of something that is a little bit more advanced than just regular division, but it's just a concept that you cannot divide by a decimal. You have to change it to a whole number. And that is done with powers of 10. All right, so thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped. If you have any questions, please look below. And if you want to go through all of my math videos, right now I have fractions. I have, I think, 5 or 6 videos on fractions, and now I have a couple on decimals, and I'm planning on doing just general concepts for math to help with any understanding that, I do some teaching and I meet parents and they want to know different concepts. So I'm just kind of making the videos, and hopefully they're clear enough that when these concepts come up, I can just kind of share that video and they can have the instruction for the concept. So if there's anything that you would like me to make a video on or to discuss on this channel, let me know. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. I think the next video on decimals is going to be about dividing decimals, because that has a few more concepts that I want to make sure I discuss. But that is the basics. So thanks for watching. See you next time.